What is going on, DGBA fans? We are here today with the post-draft power rankings for Poison Point Season 11. I'm Brandon. I have a guest with me, Spies. Please say hello.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Spies.
And we're excited to see what these teams are going to look like for the start of Gen 9. I think everyone's kind of antsy to play some games. Before we get into like the teams, there's like a couple notes in more just that there is two, if you don't know, there is 2 Terra captains per team. They are allowed to Terra into any type they want, but only those 2 mons can Terra. And there were some complex bans on the draft board, which we will get into when we talk about each person's team. So, also, before we go into it, keep in mind, there's going to be opinions in this video, and these opinions are our own. So, as always, if you have issues, please DM Agronauts.
I thought Agronauts formulated my
it's
own opinion.
It's all Agronauts' fault. So, without ado, Spies, would you like to introduce our number 16 coach?
All right, so number 16, we have Ultra Player, coach of the New Orleans Saint Snow, and his team consists of Chien Pao, Zapdos, Heatran, Gastrodon, Mousehold, Gallade, Mimikyu, Goodra, Grafaiai, Carbink, and Lilligant, with Terra captains Mimikyu and Mousehold. And Chien Pao was a complex with no Terra.
The worst pick in the draft, round 6 Gallade, not close.
Let's see. My notes are I don't know what the fuck happened after round 4.
Yeah, after the
to be honest,
like there's so much. The first, like, obviously Chien Pao's broken. Zapdos I think is a little worse, but is definitely passable still as round 2. And then Heatran Gastrodon is fine, and then after that it's just like, what is going on? I just don't get it.
You can look at like all the like other round 5s, 6s, and 7s throughout the video and like compare them to Mousehold, Gallade, and Mimikyu. And like the longer this video goes on, the more you'll be questioning why Mousehold was the round 5 pick or something like that.
I don't get it. I think it's new toy syndrome. I think. Like Mimikyu, I can at least get, because like the fairies are pretty limited, and like, I mean, if you were around for Gen 7, like Z Mimikyu was a real threat, and like and Terra kinda acts like it, kind of. So like I can at least see that one, but yeah, like Mousehold, Gallade, and like basically everything else just like make no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think the Goodra kind of makes sense as like a special sponge, like for round when it was picked.
Yeah,
but, like Mousehold round 5 is, I don't know. It's also the only removal.
yeah, that's pretty not great with Zapdos losing Defog, just leaving it up to the House of Mouse.
Yeah, in my notes, I said, I don't know what happened to this team, but Chien Pao's insane, will carry.
Yeah.
Zapdos and Heatran can punish like the super effective priority versus it with Static and Flame Body.
Sure.
As well, which is fine.
The one thing that like kind of tripped me up was like the Grafaiai. Like I think objectively Grafaiai is a fine Pokemon, but like on this team it's so weird because like Grafaiai is one of the best setup enablers in this format, and then there's like close to no setup to try to win the game. It's like just the Mousehold move, right? Because like Chien Pao doesn't get agility, and like I guess Zapdos gets agility, but like that's not really a set usually you commonly run on Zapdos. Like it just feels like a weird choice of, for how late it was. It just felt like a weird choice.
Yeah,
and while I agree with the Goodra, and like for the round Ultra Player took it, it's probably fine, but it's not good enough to like make up for the fact that you picked the round 5 Mousehold and Gallade, basically.
Yeah, in the context of the rest of the team, the Goodra is like kind of weird because like I don't know, you'd expect some more powerful mons outside like the top 4 in a free draft format, but there aren't really that kind of mon. Also, Chien Pao can like Swords Dance and like Ice Shard, Sucker Punch, things that are faster than it thanks to Grafaiai.
I guess.
Which is another thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, because like the top 3 are power. Gastrodon is like just kind of the Gloomon that is like forced to show up every week, especially now that it has rocks and spikes. And then like my problem is gonna be like, what other two Pokemon are you bringing? Like I think most of the time you're gonna be picking between Mimikyu, Goodra, and Grafaiai. I just don't see a world where like Gallade is actively picked over one of those three, or even Mousehold. I'm still not convinced Mousehold is good.
Gallade's the knock support for Mousehold.
I mean, yeah, probably.
I had something else in my notes. Also like Mousehold, Grafaiai are two of his three speed options, and they're not really like mons that you could say you'd want to bring to every game. And Grafaiai isn't really like offensively inclined either, so he's kind of just relying on Chien-Pao to revenge and like clean as his speed.
I think Chien-Pao is good enough for it to be the only thing that does that. I think
Chien-Pao is really good.
That Pokemon is fucking crazy. That's something I do know.
Yeah, and then I guess the other thing is that like with a lot of the prevalent ghosts, I think having Shadow Sneak on Mimikyu could be really valuable, especially if you like Terra Ghost or something. You could probably take care of a lot of the ghosts that way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. All right. I think that's all I have to say about Ultra Player's team, unless you have anything else.
Yeah, I have one last note here. I think like ground types that have ways around Zapdos, which to be fair aren't like a lot, but like say like Great Tusks runs like Banded Stone Edge and like hits Zapdos or something. Like after that, Earthquake kind of like runs through the rest of the team.
Yeah, with the other ground resist being Lilligant, it's certainly not the greatest if the Zapdos gets too worn down. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess the idea is that you just use Chien-Pao to kill the ground types, I'm assuming. And like that's probably going to work.
Yeah. But also, yeah, to be fair, I think like ground answers are a bit more scarce in this limited dex format, but like it's still like an issue.
Does Zapdos still get Roost? Is it a thing?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so yeah. At least there's that. All right. That's enough about that team. We're gonna get to another kind of goofy pick with our number 15 pick, which is Gelbel. Coach of the Nihiligoats. Gelbel's team consists of Urshifu Single, Donphan, Noivern, Klefki, Gothitelle, Ceruledge, Toxtricity, Hisuian Samurott, Tauros, Hisuian Decidueye, and Lycanroc, with Gothitelle and Ceruledge being the Terra captains, and Urshifu Single was just complex to no Terra, so it is allowed Swords Dance.
So the first thing here is that at this rate, Donphan's going to be a round 1 mon next season.
Yeah. Yeah, the round 2 Donphan is certainly okay, look. At least the Donphan provides something, right? Like at least it's like, you know, removal is at an all-time low in this format, knockoff is at an all-time low in this format, and then add on top it just gets rocks. Like at least there's objective reasons to draft Donphan early, but like there was no reason for the fucking round 6 Gallade by Ultra Player.
I think Gallade could have. Well, yeah, you could have waited on it. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad mon, but you definitely could have waited on it.
That's my rant on that. As far as Gelbel's team is concerned, this just looks like a budgeted draft, but in a free draft format. Like literally, if you put Gothitelle as the second pick, and then like basically if you swap Gothitelle and Donphan, this just looks like a budgeted draft, which again in a budgeted draft is probably fine. But like in this format, it just looks very underwhelming.
Honestly, this team needed like 1 or 2 like more of those like heavy hitter like round 2 to 3 looking kind of mons.
Yes, I agree. I will say Terra Gothitelle is fucking scary.
Also,
like,
and
just like trapping something and then like just essentially guaranteeing like getting to +6 because you change your type is going to be very scary and difficult for teams to prep for. But yeah, like honestly, the major and like even the hazard game is actually pretty decent because like you have like Rocks Donphan and Rocks what was the other thing, like Lycanroc, and then Spikes on Klefki and Samurott. With like even your removal is like all right. You have Noivern and Decidueye.
Again, it's also Donphan.
Oh, true. Yeah, duh. But like the problem ultimately is just that like past Urshifu and maybe Terra Goth, like a lot of the team is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is that like Toxtricity with Terra could have been really terrifying because like what switches into like that mon after you Terra normal and start boom bursting things.
Yeah, definitely. I guess you probably just like it was a new toy syndrome with Cerule Edge, if I had to guess. Just like
I mean, Cerule Edge can also win games with Terra, to be honest, with like the weak armor stuff,
oh,
SD weak
true.
armor.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, like I think Gelbel's team has like a lot of really like interesting ways of like winning games that might not be like entirely consistent, but like some of these guys like Goth, Cerulege, Toxtricity only need to be able to win like 1 or 2 games at most on their own.
Yeah.
And like yeah. And then like stuff like Urshifu can win games as well.
Of course. Like Urshifu, I mean, it's still an Urshifu. I think you put it best in our kind of pre-record run through of this, in that like he can win some games if he pilots the team well, which if you've ever played card games before, saying that your deck can win games if you pilot it well just translates to your deck is bad. So saying that about Galbel's team is just saying that Galbel's team is bad.
I mean, at the very least, this team is like it has actual ways to win games.
I mean, yes, but it's just like
sometimes drafts don't even
it's just
have
immediately when you said that, my brain jumped to it, and I was like, that's literally what's going on. We're literally just saying that it's not an objectively not powerful team.
Yeah.
It's like Urshifu is objectively powerful, Terra Goth is objectively powerful, and everything else is just kind of there.
Like, I think the last thing I'd have to say about this team is that like it's kind of on the slow side with like Noivern and Lycanroc Tauros like being the speed mons, which aren't ideal, I'd say.
Yeah,
like so I think like
there should have been something between the Tauros and the Urshifu.
Yeah. Like, so there's like that, and like the team, it's not like very naturally bulky. I mean, I guess it's kind of naturally bulky, but it's not like super bulky. So I think just like teams with like faster guys that like hit harder are going to like run through this team if like the Klefki can't get up a screen or something for some reason.
Yeah, this team definitely has big utility offense vibes, where it's just like some of like your offense pieces are like kind of bulky and like kind of fast, but like they're not like overly accentuating in one of those things, which sometimes is good, sometimes not so much. Speaking from experience, usually it's not so much.
Yeah. Oh, I have a good American football analogy here. It's like his offense is just like if Taysom Hill played like every position.
I literally did not understand. The only thing I did not understand was the player reference, because I don't know who that is.
Oh, Taysom Hill's like the gadget guy on the New Orleans Saints.
Sure. I'm not really
I don't
sure
know
what the gadget guy is meant to be, but anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to number 14 if you want to introduce them.
All right, so up next we have Phil, coach of the illustrious Jigglypuff. It's just Jigglypuff. And his team is Garchomp, Annihilate, Azumarill, Orthworm, Rotom Heat, Alolan Muck, Hisuian Braviary, Indeedee, Hawlucha, Blissey, and Thwackey, with Terra Captains being Annihilate and Blissey.
I mean, this is a Phil team. It's just like, I think this Mon is funny. I'm going to draft it, and I don't care what it looks like afterwards.
Yeah.
That's like basically what this is. Like, I don't understand why the Garchomp wasn't Terra. Like, I can even understand the Terra Blissey, but like, I just like none of these options were better than Terra Garchomp, is all I'm gonna say.
His team is pretty slow outside of the Hawlucha, although he has like the priority in Azumarill.
He also has well, to be fair, he also has I guess the Psychic Terrain Hawlucha doesn't really work, because like you can still priority it.
That's why there's the Thwackey.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. There isn't a lot that I know how to like put into words to describe this team. I guess there's like this team isn't frail per se, but like it doesn't have like the speed or like the longevity to survive in the fast pace.
Oh, you know what this looks like? This looks like Gen 7 bulky offense. Remember
it kind of does.
Remember when in Gen 7 bulky offense was like the best thing to be doing for a long time? That's what this looks like.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, except like I don't know. The pieces are like Orthworm and Rotom Heat. Mm,
And like
yeah.
double terrain Halucha, which might be fine. I don't know.
I think the muck is surprisingly hard to kill on this team, but then like it's annoying. It doesn't have curse. It's like I don't know how you're going to really abuse that other by prolonging the game somewhat.
Does this look at knockoff?
Yeah, it does. Don't.
Okay. It's probably, yeah. It's not really an abusing thing then. I think it's just meant to be an annoyance Pokemon.
Yeah.
Especially with, you have the grassy terrain to support the muck too. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not as weak to Earthquake and it gets more recovery.
But also it's on the Thwacky, so
I mean, Thwacky gets brought to games when it's on teams.
yeah.
And like it's also,
I think,
that's also not the only thing that Thwacky can support, right? You have the Halucha.
yeah.
I guess the
Yeah.
other the flip side to it is your your Thwacky stops the Garchomp from going crazy.
Yeah, just like how the Indeedee stops the Azumarill from clicking
Oh,
Jet,
true, yeah, true.
which is a bit, yeah, which sucks a bit. The physical bulk on this team is Orthworm.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't need to say much about that.
I mean,
And then I think
yeah.
this team like relies on like Annihilate or Azumarill trying to end games as early as they can. Otherwise, I think this team will fall behind during the game and will eventually lose. Like maybe you could cheese one or two games with like Braviary and like I don't know, maybe the Terrablissey wins a game, but
I could wager that the Terrablissey might win a game. Phil will find a way.
yeah.
I don't get the round 5 Rotom Heat. Not in Gen 9 anyways. Like,
Yeah, losing Pain Split kind of sucks for it. Lost Defog, Toxic.
and Toxic, yeah. Like it's just like all the Rotom forms are just like not as good as they were. And I feel like maybe Rotom Heat's like fine on this team, but like you could have just like taken it where the Braviary was and not have a Braviary.
Yeah.
It would have looked a lot better. Like I said, this team is just like an overall mess, and like there really isn't there isn't a clear way to make it better because Phil just drafted just mons that he wanted to use.
I
Which,
mean, I like the first 3 picks.
I mean, yeah, those are objectively powerful, and then he drafted Orthworm round 4.
Yeah, but he looks funny, so it's fine.
I mean, Orthworm does look funny. The only thing I could think of was that, like, it's a pretty limited dex format, so, like, you just gotta take the steel type you want early.
Yeah.
That's the only justification for it, I think. I don't know. There is not much to say about this. There's no other way to say it. This is a dumpster fire of a team. It's just like the pieces are like the individual pieces, or the individual top 3 are powerful. The rest of the team is just kind of mangled, and there really isn't a clear way to fix it. But I don't think Phil wants to fix it, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This team, I guess like Azu and like Annihilate can try to trade 1-for-1, but like a lot of these other guys kind of have trouble doing that. Garchomp can too, but like if you only have like if only your top 3 mons are trying to trade and you have like nothing to like super take advantage of that besides Hawlucha and like maybe Blissey, then it might not be ideal.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say that I haven't already said. It's just
Yeah,
kind of a mess.
I even have like notes, but I still don't like know how to articulate how I feel about this team.
It's just a mess. That's the best way to put it. So without further ado, let's move into number 13, and we have Killer Askey, coach of the Miami XD. And Killer's team consists of Baxcalibur, Tornadus Therian, Iron Hands, Grimmsnarl, Bramblegast, Clodsire, Slowbro, Bisharp, Cloth, Tatsugiri, and Pyroar, with the Terra captains being Baxcalibur and Torn T. So obviously, the positives here: Terra Baxcalibur with Terra Torn T with Grimmsnarl screen support, like. You could literally just bring that to every game and you'll probably win half your games, because that's just like crazy to try to deal with. The not so great part about this team is essentially everything
Dude,
else.
I see a round 5
It's
Bramblegast.
essentially everything else.
I literally put in my notes round 5 Bramble-Ghast. This might just be the worst pickup of all time.
I don't know about all time. I am still convinced that Ultra Player's round 6 Gallade is worse than this. Because, again, at least Bramble-Ghast provides something. Like it provides spikes and spin blocking. Like there's something to it. Like the Gallade was just an underwhelming fighting type. I'm sorry if Josh is still watching at this point, but like my god, that pick just like infuriates me.
No, Gallade gets sharpened the Sacred Sword.
No. I don't care. It's still slow and everything. Like literally, it doesn't solve a single problem that Mon has. There's no point to it.
I mean, if you've looked at oh wait, no, I can't even say Sharpness Sacred Sword is good versus ASCII's team. ASCII's team, no, I was going to say it worked well versus ASCII's team, but now I see there's a Slowbro and Clodsire, and it does not.
I mean, just the Slowbro, I think. Like, at least Psycho Cut could have done something to the Clodsire.
I mean, I think Gallade gets... Oh, no, I'm gonna stop talking about it. Okay, so, I think my main thing was that, like, I felt like a lot of the picks felt weird. I don't know. Like, it's kind of a feel thing for me, but like, I think the team, like, especially the bottom half looked a bit weird to me, and then, the speed is just like torn. That's all I can really say. It goes from Torn to Pyroar, but like Pyroar probably comes to like 2-3 games max.
So like the gap itself isn't that bad, but it's just the fact that you're not bringing Pyroar a lot.
Yeah. Also, it's like 2 mons above base 100 speed, which in this meta is pretty detrimental.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say about Killer's team is that this is definitely a volatile draft, or at least in terms of power rankings, because this is just like a classic case of how draft works, in that like a lot of these Pokemon haven't really like a lot of what we're saying about Pokemon is just like in terms of how we've seen them perform in like OU or like in past gens, and there's a lot of Pokemon that either haven't seen a lot of play in OU this generation so far, or just are new or act vastly different than they did in the previous gen. So like, for example, Slowbro and Bisharp, which are like the 2 familiar pieces, I guess, they're vastly different this generation because Slowbro lost Scald and Teleport, and Bisharp now can hold an Eviolite. The Clodsire, even though it's like seeing play in OU and like pretty heavy play at that, the fact remains that like usually ground types with a water immunity in like ladder meta are just like anti-meta picks. So they act, not that they act different, but they're very much more matchup dependent in draft than they are on the ladder. And then like the other things like Bramble-Ghast, Tatsugiri, Cloth, like they like see actual no OU play, so we have no idea how good they are in terms of like the draft scene, right? Because like even if you look at stuff like, you know, Salazzle, like that like never sees OU play, but like we all know it's a fine Pokemon in draft. So like that could be a real thing with like these Pokemon that aren't maybe the most popular Pokemon on the ladder. We just don't know yet is the thing. So like we're just inclined to rank a team like this lower because we're just so unsure, but this is definitely one of the teams that has the potential to age the worst. I'm not sure how high that potential is because, you know, objectively, Bramble-Ghast and Cloth and Tatsugiri don't look the most powerful. But again, it just depends on how Killer plays them and like the teams they play against and all that stuff that, you know, it's just speculation at this point. We need to see them actually perform in the games.
Yeah, so my thing was like this team relies on Grimmsnarl a lot to like enable a lot of the progress to go on, because like Baxcalibur, Torn, Iron Hands are like the main offense on the team. And like you could also argue that like Torn could like enable things, but if it's enabling things, it's probably going to be less likely inclined to I guess like force progress as heavily as like you'd want it to, because the offense is kind of lacking outside of the top 3. Like there's a Bisharp, there's a Pyroar.
I mean, yes, but like when you have Terra, Baxcalibur, Terra, Torn, like, what else do you need in terms of your offense? Like, you have your fast thing and you have your breaker already. It's slash setup sweeper. Like we mentioned before, like, there's not a lot that can switch into the combination of those two.
And then I think Iron Hands with screens is also, plus like being enabled by like Torn plus Grim also is going to be like interesting, because this mon gets belly drum and like under screens, you could like force the switch, get a free belly drum, and then like trade 1-for-1, which I think is going to be really nice for this team. Like, the more mons you're able to like trade or chip, like the easier it is for like Torn to clean or like Baxcalibur to sweep. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do think that this team like gets overwhelmed by like faster threats kind of easily, because it's just like Torn and Pyroar, like something like Meowscarada looks really good in this, really good versus this, or like Chen Pao.
Just like anything. I mean,
Chen Pao looks good versus everything, but
like, I know what you mean. Like anything that falls between Torn and Pyroar on the speed spectrum.
Yeah,
definitely
just between that or above that.
Like look at like Iron Moth, for example. Like, Iron Moth probably gives this team a pretty good run, especially if it's Terra.
Yeah, like Terra Psychic for like the Clodsire, and then like it does a lot of work here.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this team, is that like in terms of checklist stuff that you normally want for your draft, I think this has like enough boxes checked. The quality of the mons are still in question because we haven't seen a lot of games or any kind of content with them, like, at all. So it just depends on how objectively good those Pokemon actually are, and or how broken Baxcalibur plus Torn T is.
Yeah,
which is probably very.
My overall summary of like just how I feel about the team overall was like, it might have the tools to make favorable trades or even like force sacks with Bax and Terra Torn, and and then like just like trade or force sacks into like a favorable endgame. But like, it depends on if Torn and Baxcalibur can position themselves for winning the endgame, assisted by mostly Grim, and like maybe Claude Bro staving off certain threats long enough.
Yep, I can see that. All right, let us move on to number 12, if you would like to introduce that team to us, Spies.
Right. So up next we have Dave, coach of the Chicago Conchs, and he has Iron Treads, Meowscarada, Rotom Wash, Skeledirge, Regidrago, Florges, Overquill, Oricorio, Paldean Tauros, Frostmoth, and Wigglytuff. Regular Paldean Tauros, by the way, with Terra captains being Skeledirge and Regidrago. First off, I think the Terra caps on this team are really good. I think they're, for like where they were picked, and like obviously their ability to do things with Terra.
Yeah. The one thing that is missing, I think, is the context of Dave being very late in the draft. So the round 1 Iron Treads makes a lot more sense. But like you said in the in kind of our pre-recording screening, like the round 2 Meowscarada along with it just does seem very weird. Not in the sense of Meowscarada being bad, but like there was a Torn T that he could have taken with the Treads, and just like the team would have looked so much better.
Yeah, I think the team would have looked a bit more, better, I guess.
It would have looked looked more full. I think one of the main problems with this is that, like, kind of similar to Gelbel's team, this just like it feels very underwhelming in terms of how a free draft would normally look. But again, this is also very limited decks.
Yeah, especially since we don't know how good the newer mons are in comparison to like some of the older threats.
Yeah, I definitely can see that.
So like
the one thing I will say, at least Iron Treads provides like good roll compression. I think, sorry to keep stealing your lines, but like you also did say it very well in our screening, was that like Skeledirge probably carries in the games, but I think Iron Treads carries in prep.
Yeah, for sure. My main issue with the team was like it doesn't have a round 1 that's like kind of whatever. Like I could see maybe Treads, Skeledirge, Meowscarada carrying, even Regidrago, because that one's really good. My main issue was like the back half of the draft kind of just like fell off to me. Like Oricorio, Paldean, Tauros, Frostmoth, Wigglytuff looks pretty weak. You even argue that like Florges and Overquill are kind of weak picks, but like I can at least respect them a bit more.
Yeah, I think Overquill is like a fine pick, especially round 7. Like it's just like, you know, new toy, decent typing. Like we've seen Dark Poisons get drafted before.
Yeah.
So
Intim.
Like,
usable attack stat too.
So like it's fine. I think I agree with like the Oricorio being I think the Oricorio is meant to be even though the sprite is the fire one, I think it's meant to be as the psychic type.
I mean, it's his removal.
I mean, yeah, that too. I keep forgetting that Florges and Rotom lost default. We say it's a removal, but like he fucking has an Iron Treads. Granted, I don't know if you want to spin every game with it, but like still, it's there.
Oh, also Frostmoth has defog.
Why does that? None of this makes sense. Dudes, this fucking whole tutor move shenanigans just make no sense to me.
I better not see Iron Treads run Rapid Spin a single game.
Just bring the Frostmoth solo removal Frostmoth every game.
Yeah.
I will say I'm assuming you draft the Wigglytuff as the normal because like it along with Florges does seem weird since they're both like wish passing fairies. But like even then, like I'm not really sure how how Ghost Weak you are, considering your Overquill has the wish support for Florges. Or from Florges, I guess, rather. I'm not that familiar. I guess, like, it's another rocker, I guess? Yeah, I guess this is only other rocker, huh? It's just Treads on that? Man, okay, so yeah, Wiggly
and then Overquill, like, Meowscarada spikes.
Yeah, so I guess it's fine. As
like
far as
I
have no idea what the Tauros does. No idea.
Yeah. The momentum is pretty good on the first 3, but there's like, you look at the rest of the team, there's not really a lot to enable here. Besides like maybe like, I don't know, like Specs or Banded Regidrago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you either you force progress with like breaking with Regidrago or like Torch Song Skeledirge, I would assume.
Yeah. Like Skeledirge with Terra's pretty good. It's just like Clef but without rocks, but like also it has like the sweeping potential with Torch Song. Like it can accomplish that a lot easier.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot else to say. It was just more this team's pretty underwhelming despite me ranking it pretty high. It's just I think I ranked it pretty high because I like the individual tools that he has.
Yeah.
But like I can like be objective in the fact that like the team is just like objectively underwhelming.
Yeah, I think again, like I'll sound like a broken record, but this team also kind of struggles with like faster mons.
I mean, there's like a mouse. There's like the mouse Meowscarada, but I guess there is a lack of priority.
Like this team, I don't know. This team kind of looks on the slower side. It goes from Meowscarada to Iron Treads, which I don't know. Maybe I just value speed way too much in this gen.
I think maybe that's like a high value on speed because like even that, like that's like a very similar speed gap to what we were describing on the previous on Killer's team with like from Torn to Pyroar, but like. At least here, Meowscarada and Iron Treads, you're probably ringing every game.
Yeah. And then the other thing was like, I mean, I guess there's like Scarf, Rotom Wash, but like the Scarfers also aren't amazing on this team, and like the priority is just Meowscarada. So like, only having the Meowscarada, Iron Treads, I guess Paldean and Tauros above 100, might hurt this team. Would probably appreciate like one more above base 100 guy, but
it might not have been an option, right? I didn't pay attention to what was still available in the drafts, so yeah, I don't really have much else to say if you're also done.
Yeah, I don't have much else either.
All right, let us move on to number 11, which is Bronson, coach of the Ariana Grandes. God, that photo of her literally just looks like a photoshopped face, and she just looks like a bobblehead. Anyways, The team consists of Spectrier, Enamorus Incarnate, Mew, Urshifu Rapid, Amoonguss, Moltres, Crocodile, Ironthorns, Vaporeon, Pelipper, and Zangoose. The Enamorus and the Mew are the Terra captains, and Spectrier had the complex of not being allowed to Terra. So, again, I think with specifically the Enamorus, because like it's like kind of new and it's a genie, legendary, whatever. I think we're gonna have to see games before we can like make an objective call as to whether round 2 or Terra on it is good. It's just like its coverage looks okay. I'm not convinced about the contrary. Like basically the only thing it has to abuse it is superpower. Maybe that's good enough. We'll see. Mew, I'm also not sold on. Like it lost a lot of its utility and has basically been relegated to just a setup sweeper, which might still be fine. But it definitely.
You can also suicide lead it. To be fair.
Oh, it still does get rocks and spikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see whether the Mew is worth it. I think Spectrier is still very, very good. Like, it's obviously better this gen than it was last. Now that it has Draining Kiss, but like, there's like a real chance that like, I think that there's a real chance that by the end of this gen, it might not be allowed. But we're definitely gonna test it for now. And as far
Spectrier guy's kind of good.
It's very good. As far as the rest of the team goes, I'm actually kind of the opposite of how I've felt about a lot of the more underwhelming teams, like we've said. So like while I acknowledge the fact that like someone like Galbel or Dave's team was underwhelming, I at least liked how everything kind of meshed together. This is like the opposite. I think a lot of Bronson's tools, other than like the Pelipper and the Zangoose, are objectively good, like on their own. It's just putting them together just looks like a mess.
Yeah. It's like my notes for this team are like, I feel like the top 4 are really good. Like Mew's obviously speculative. And like so is Enamorus, but I feel like Enamorus is going to be really good. Like just like looking at it and like prepping it. I've even seen a couple games with it. It's done a lot of things. So like I have high hopes for it, and I think like Urshifu, Spectrier are really, really good this gen.
Oh, 100%.
And then like the rest of the tools, like as you said, they're like good on their own, but like together, I don't know how to feel about them. Also, this Pelipper could have been like something else entirely.
Literally anything else.
Literally anything else. You could have put like, oh, this team has no remover. We forgot about this.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, you literally could have just
this
gotten
could
like
have been a
spinner or something
remover.
like that.
Yeah, but like the other thing I would have liked to see like on this team would have been like something in between Spectrier and Enamorus. Because like outside of those two, the team is kind of slow, and the scarfing options aren't the best either. Because like I assume Urshifu Rapid wants to run the new Punching Gloves item, so like
more
Swords
than
Dance
likely.
Surging Strikes can go unpunished.
Crook is a crazy good scarfer, so like that's fine.
I mean, not as
It's
good
like
anymore
it's-
because it lost
I
knock.
guess it lost knock, but like it's still gonna be fine.
Yeah,
it's,
with Moxie, it's still
so
fine.
the thing, it still has its power, right? Like it still gets Lariat and
No,
Crunch.
it doesn't. It gets Crunch, yeah.
It doesn't get Lariat. Oh
No, it doesn't.
Oh no!
It gets Gunk though. It gets Gunk Shot. It gets Gunk Shot now.
Why
it can touch
is
fairies.
why is the transfer moves the way they are? No. Why doesn't it get Darkest Lariat? What the fuck?
Don't worry, he still has Gunk in CC. He's cool. I don't know. I personally find Vaporeon a little underwhelming without Scald, but like we'll see. Scald and Toxic,
yes.
flip turn.
Yeah, the flip turn I think is the bigger one for this team. This team definitely wants to pivot around.
Yeah, this team's momentum, I think you'd want more to get like Urshifu Rapid, Enamorus, Spectrier in more, but like it's like I mean it's still fine. It's like Mew, Urshifu, Moltres, Thorns, Pelipper. But like Mew and Urshifu Rapid probably don't want to run it a whole lot. I mean Urshifu Rapid might like foresee Swords Dance being like a lot more common on this, like Swords Dance, Punching Gloves, 3 attacks.
I definitely think Punching Gloves is gonna be like a must run on Urshifu. Like we already saw so often that it ran protective pads like close to all the time.
Yeah.
And now it just gets like I can't say better protective pads.
It's like protective pads made for it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it'll still take the stuff. It'll still take like helmet and stuff on close combat.
Yeah.
But like as far as surging strike goes, like you're definitely if you're planning to just spam surging strikes, you're definitely happier to have a set of punching gloves than protective pads.
Yeah, what's it? Does Urshifu get away to boost speed? I don't think it does, but if it
no, I don't think
does,
so.
okay. Because like I was going to say, if it does with like the punching gloves, that might be kind of insane.
I mean, it already has Aqua Jet, so it's probably fine.
Yeah, it has Jet. Let's see. No remover. Do I have any other notes on this team? Oh, opposing ghosts can be scary because like it's the Zangoose and Crook that are checking the ghosts.
I mean,
I don't think I mean, Crook is okay. I guess in this meta might be fine.
I think this is just another case where Terra can help with that. Because
yeah, you could Terra.
There's like a real chance that like you Terra, what is it like you can Terra Dark the Mew, right? So that way, like specifically for ghosts or other darks. And like granted,
Yeah.
I think that's a little worse this gen now that it's lost all forms of recovery.
Yeah.
But like we can't like I don't think we're really in a stage anymore where we can just say like a specific type is scary because like now we have Terra, right? And like we can use and people can use Terra as a tool to help out with like patching specific type weaknesses.
Yeah. What's it? The flying resist is just thorns. I mean, it's good at resisting flying, but like.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be a good bird check, but like I'm not quite sure it's gonna do anything else. I think it gets Thunder Wave though, so like it at least has that utility, and that can help with the speed issues you were talking about.
Yeah, but like, I think like a flying type with like fighting coverage just looks really good versus this team because there isn't like
like Halucha.
There isn't like because like Mew lost recovery, so there isn't like a real good like physical tank to like tank that combo.
I can see that.
And
yeah,
then
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
grounds.
I got out most of what I needed to say. Just like objectively, these pieces are powerful, but together they form a mess.
And like this is like another case of where like grounds are good this gen. Like look at the like outside the flying types. Like look at grounds. Granted, Bronson has 3 flying types, but I don't think one of them should be there. So
I mean, yeah, Moltres still gets Roost this gen, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, okay, so that part's fine. All right, let's move on to our number 10. If you'd like to introduce the coach.
So number 10, we have OG Albina, coach of the Carolina Roaring Moons, with Landorus Incarnate, Galarian Slowking, Ursaluna, Dondozo, Cyclizar, Heracross, Pinkaton, Weavile, Rotom-Mow, Arcanine, and Mismagius, with Terra Captains Landorus Incarnate and Ursaluna.
The double Terra ground core. This is a Sheer Force Lando, by the way. This is not Sand Force.
Yeah, I'd be pretty concerned if someone took round 1 Sand Force Lando Incarnate.
Look, all I can tell you is that Duncan Knee Deep did it first. He took round 1 Sand Force Lando I in GBA Season 7. And look where that got him. Blacklisted from essentially the whole Pokemon community.
Sends you down a terrible dark path. Let's see. What are my notes? So I thought this team was like pretty slow outside of like Weavile, Cyclizar, and then but like he has like decent like blanket checks in Dondozo and Galarian Slowking, and his breaking power can like I feel like his breaking power can help like trade down to favorable endgames more often than not for like Weavile or even like maybe Scarf, Landorus, or Heracross to abuse. Let's see. I do think like the main pivoting is going to be like you go Dondozo on like the physical Galar Slowking on the special, and then you're able to chilly reception into your breaker after that. But I do think it is annoying. Yeah, but I do think that it is annoying that you need to go into Galarian Slowking in order to like start enabling your offense. Although like Ursaluna does have like really good natural bulk and can come in on resisted hits.
Yeah, definitely.
Or immune hits pretty well.
But also you have like
Yeah.
you have like Cyclizar and Rotom that can U-turn, and then also Lando
Yeah.
U-turn. I don't know how often you're running U-turn on Lando, but like it is a thing.
I mean, it probably runs on Scarf, but on your like breaking sets, you probably don't want to click it ever.
Yeah, I can see that. What the hell was I gonna say?
That's it.
I think the speed is fine. Like Weavile is obviously worse, but I think it's still a very good pairing with the Lando. Cyclizar, despite it, that was one thing we forgot. The move Shed Tail is banned, so like Orthworm on Phil's team and the Cyclizar on this team do not have that.
Yeah.
That is why the Cyclizar is round 5.
The round 4 Orthworm looks so much better now.
Mon. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Anyway,
but even my point was, even without Shed Tail, I think Cyclizar provides enough that like it's worth maybe round 5's a little early, but like it's still definitely worth a slot on. It's
still a good utility mon. It's just like Torn T at home.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I think Heracross is going to be really good this gen, especially the Moxie sets. Like before with Heracross, you essentially were forced into Guts because like with Waters just spamming Scald everywhere, like you didn't want a chance of burn if you had to switch in with it on a Water. But now you just get to run Moxie. I won't say for free, but like it's definitely more free than it was because like you can just freely switch in on Waters and like not have to worry about a Scald burn.
I think Scarf Moxie Heracross on this team specifically is pretty good because like Lando and Ursaluna break a lot of stuff, and like you have Weavile for like flyings that are annoying for your dual stab combo. Which I mean, to be fair, flyings in general you could argue are like kind of annoying for this team, but like you can Terra Ursaluna or Terra Lando, and like all of a sudden like neither of these mons have like a switch in, and like you can stuff like Corv you can just delete by like Terra Fire Lando I. Click the Terra Blast button, it like dies.
Yeah. The only thing I'm not a gigantic fan of on this team is like the hazard game. It's like basically Lando and Tinkaton with like Spike's Heracross.
Yeah.
And like
T Spike Scalar Slowking, I think. Oh wait, no, it does not. Never mind. I'm lying.
Sure? I thought it did. Okay.
No, it doesn't. I'm
okay,
lying.
So yeah,
it's
just
fake
those
news.
3. So yeah, like that. Like speaking from experience, you don't really want to. And maybe this is different now that Lando has been side graded to losing Rock Polish.
Yeah.
But it gained Nasty Plot. So like I don't know, maybe it's a little different. Maybe it just acts like old SD Rocks Lando. But if you're not running Rocks on Lando, that means you bring Tinkaton to most of your games, and you know, as a Tinkaton.
Yeah. I do think a good hazard setter would have went like a long way on this team because you're forcing a lot of.
Instead of like the
you can force a lot of switches.
I think it probably would have been better.
I mean, the Miss Magus is like still nice speed.
It is.
Like it's kind of tough.
But like the thing is, if you're looking for a hazard removal, you got to cut somewhere, and it's like realistically speaking, it's either that or the Arcanine. I think you can't cut Rotom because like for some reason that's the only way to actually break Waters. Like other than like Lando, Heracross, and Weavile all like pressuring them.
I mean, like, I don't think bulky Waters are as good this gen, to be honest.
No,
like Lando's breaking power is insane.
Maybe that's just me being a boomer. Who knows? I will say Ursaluna, like Ursaluna round 3, I think is fine, but I think with the context of the rest of this team, the Ursaluna looks a little weird.
It looks a little redundant, yeah.
Double ground and double normal, assuming like
you can run it like bulkier.
I guess it's like a different ground.
Yeah.
You know what? That is fair. Because like whenever I drafted Lando, I basically drafted it as a typeless mod. I didn't really count it as a ground. I always wanted a second one. And then like obviously Glow King's a Glow King. It's gonna be good.
I mean, this has gone unsaid for like most of the teams, but I think versus this team specifically though, like Terra Dark Pulses are going to be really annoying versus this team. Because like G King is the main Spadaf check, and like nothing else likes resisting dark moves besides like Tinkaton, Heracross. Like they can, but like they'll get worn down over time.
Right.
I like Dark is like a good offense, or Dark Pulse is a good offensive move in general this gen, but like I feel like versus this team specifically, it looks a bit stronger than like the previous teams we've looked at.
No, I can definitely see that. Like basically the best thing to check it is like Tinkaton and Heracross.
Yeah.
And, like those are not really like Tinkaton
Oh,
maybe, but like
yeah.
Heracross you don't really want to switch into a Terra attack.
Another thing is like just special attackers with the ability to like Terra ground also threaten this team. Like, cause like mainly because like this team relies a lot on Slowking as it's like special checking.
Yeah, I think that's context dependent, just based based on the Pokemon that's doing it, right? Like there's still 3 ground immunities. You still have
There are.
Miss Magius, so I think that part is very context dependent.
But yeah, but like something like I mean, I guess I'm cherry picking at this point, but like something like Enamorous, like Terra Grounds, and then like clicks Earth Power plus Moonblast, and it looks really good.
I mean, yeah, that's like Mega Altaria at home.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't really have much to say about this team. It's like, it's fine. The individual pieces are fine. As a team, it's fine. I just think there's better teams. We're at the point in the power rankings where like, a lot of these teams could have gone either way, like in terms of like where they got ranked. They could have been shuffled around. It just basically comes down to personal preference.
Yeah. This team could have been like a lot higher, or it could have been like a
it basically
lower,
like it's basically
like,
between our 2 rankings, as you can see on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's head into the number 9 coach. And rounding out the bottom half of the power rankings, we have Joshua, coach of the Kuming Clefables. And my god, if that logo isn't like just every Draft League player ever. But Josh's team consists of Dragapult, Tinglu, Quaquaval, Galar Slowbro, Galar Moltres, Serena, Hisuian Arcanine, Hisuian Gudra, Kilowattrel, Hoopa Unbound, and Ursaring, with Terra captains being Quaquaval and Galar Moltres, and Dragapult having the complex of no Terra. Obviously, Pulse plus fighting type, I mean, that's profit. Like, ghost fighting, very powerful stab. I never really thought about, literally until just now, about fighting types being able to Terra into ghost types and just Terra blasting plus their fighting stab. That's pretty fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I literally did not think about that until just now.
Yeah, no, Quaquaval can like win games now because you just like you click the Aqua Step, Slowbro comes in, and you're like, I don't like you, and you Terra Ghost and you delete it.
Basically, yeah. I literally did not think about that.
And then you go on win with the Moxie boost. Yeah, this Ting Lu fellow here, he's kind of good. It's really hard to kill him in one hit.
Yeah, it's certainly fat. I you know what? I can't say it's impossible. I'm sure there's some setup mon that can do it.
Yeah, what was it? I don't know. It took some like really stupid calc, but I think I got like Kieran Black to Oko it.
Yes, Kieran Black. You know, just your average run of the mill offensive Pokemon.
Yeah. The main issues I think are like the later round pieces feel a bit underwhelming, and like the speed goes from like Dragapult to Kilowattrel to like Galarian Moltres after that, which is
that's more the bigger one. Like Pult to Kilowatt, like the gap between Pult and anything is more than likely going to be big, so you can't really pick at that too much. But Kilowattrel to Galar Moltres is pretty not great.
Especially since like Kilowattrel is not like a mon that you want to bring to every game. Like it maybe comes to like half the games because its typing is still pretty good. Like, and it's like offensively it's fast, is decent Spatak stat. But it's like pretty matchup dependent. You'd probably bring it to like 4-ish games.
I agree with that. That I think even that's being generous, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, maybe. His removal is like okay, but it's like Quaquaval plus Serena, if I remember correctly. Is there anything else?
I don't think either of the birds get defogged, so no.
No, they do not. Okay, so yeah, it's just them.
That's still like,
and like Quaquaval. Yeah, Quaquaval doesn't want to like run it too much though. Could be an issue. There's no dragon resist.
You can literally just you can just like use rapid spin like as a way to boost speed, and then like also have the utility of spinning.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to run Aqua Step, you can just run spin and do the same things after. But I agree. I agree that no dragon resist is certainly a look.
I mean, dragons look really good this gen.
You have a Dragapult, granted. So like
you have the fastest dragon in the format,
revenge
fortunately.
killer for dragons.
But like I don't know, dragons just look good in general in this meta with the limited fairies and steals. Like it's not like that big of a knock to not have a dragon resist, but still like a point to bring up. Fighting types could be an issue. It's just the GBA, but like if your fighting type can get past that, which
does Kilowatt.
Granted, it might be hard for some of them. Yeah, it does, but like its bulk is kind of middling.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 70, 60, 60 bulk.
Yeah, it's not very fat, but like it's still something.
I do think that the momentum's like really good though on this team.
Yes.
To bring in the Hoopa, and like if the Hoopa can Terra, imagine.
I mean,
not weak to U-turn, it becomes like a special tank with the ability to delete whatever it wants.
That does in fact seem very strong. However, it is not a Terra Captain.
Yeah.
The Galar Moltres was chosen in lieu of that. I'm pretty sure that's just like doubling down on what happened last gen with like just Dark plus Flying being difficult to switch into. So I think
which is still the case. If not, it's like even more. It's even harder to switch into because like less fairies, less steals.
Yeah. I definitely.
Which are good for both of its stabs. So like it's not a bad choice. But like if like it doesn't work out, he has the option of like Hoop Unbound. It's like a backup Terra Captain.
Right. Arcanine is like fine utility. It can still be like defensive with rocks, but also has the ability to like just rock head smash.
Arcanine, yeah, Arcanine's low key the breaker on this team.
I mean, definitely not.
With like Hoop Unbound.
Hoop Unbound. But like it's definitely a good mid range piece, I think.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, looking back on this, I'm pretty sure the only reason I ranked this team as high as I did is just because of Dragapult plus Quaquaval.
Hey man, this Ting Lu guy is kind of messed up.
I mean, Ting Lu's messed up, but for a different reason.
Yeah.
But this is like a decent mid-range team, and like the one problem with mid-range teams, kind of going back to like what we discussed with Killer's team, is that like, especially with how many new mons there are, we just have to see, like, we actually have to see games play out in order to actually have real opinions on it. Like at this point, it's just speculation, right?
Yeah.
Like. We can see what Goodra, like Hisuian Goodra's stats and moves are, but like that doesn't really tell us a lot about the mon until we see it actually perform in game.
Yeah, especially in conjunction with other Pokemon.
Yes.
Like on its team. I think the main weakness of this team is that like outside of Kilowattrel, the team's like not fast enough, nor does it have the priority to keep up with the faster teams.
Yeah,
which like I think in general
it's just it's just duck and bird, right? Like bird.
I also feel like I've said that like every team so far struggled with speed.
Yes, but that I'm pretty sure that might also just be a byproduct of the format we're playing, right? Since we have a very limited dex that
16,
also doesn't have megas.
16 man limited dex. Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like with no megas, like speed is very much an issue. Since I don't know why people didn't want megas, but you know, whatever. That's a different conversation. Anyways, I don't have much else to say about this team. Other than Ursaring is a sick last round pick. I think that thing with Eviolite is very, very good.
Yeah, especially if you can like find a way to get it like burned somehow.
Well, I mean,
I know that's harder.
I was more thinking about it just like being a Spectre counter.
Yeah, like Eviolite. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Do you have anything?
Yeah. No, I don't have much, or I don't have other notes really to go off of.
Let's move on to the top half of our power rankings. If you want to introduce number 8.
All right. So number 8, we have Cheez-Its, coach of the Michigan Minetrix, with the following draft of Iron Valiant, Salamence, King Gambit, Cleavor, Gengar, Screamtail, Toad's Cruel, Alomomola, Hisuian Lilligant, Hisuian Sliggoo, and Hisuian Electrode. So let's see. I think my first thing was that like Iron Valiant is insane, but I didn't think that like the the momentum options were like super good for it. Like I think the momentum options are just Cleavor, Alamomola, Hisuian, Electrode, which could be
I can't remember if we keep saying if Screamtail gets U-turn or not. I don't think it does.
no, it does not.
Does the Lilligant not get U-turn?
No, I
Wild.
remember looking that
Absolutely
up yesterday.
wild. Also, forgot to mention that Salamence and Gengar are the Terra captains.
Oh yeah,
And Valiant has
Valiant's
a double complex of no Terra and no booster energy. Yes, Valiant is that broken, but it does not matter. It is still very good.
it is still broken.
Which is why, like literally, Cheez-Its is right in the middle of our two rankings. Like I put it at number 4, and you put it at 12.
Number 12, yeah.
8.
So I think I can go over like my main problems with it. I think the team doesn't have like the proper pivoting into Valiant, which like I mean this team can definitely function on its own without it, but like I feel like Valiant being like the best breaker of like all time because of its speed and stabs and coverage, you'd want to get it in as much as possible. Same with like Gengar with Terra, but like what's it? Because like Gengar is pretty frail. Like granted, I think Iron Valiant's a bit easier to get in than some people may think because like its defensive typing still solid with like the fairy fighting. You can pivot on dark moves and some other resisted hits, but like it's not ideal. You would like to be able to like maybe live, I don't know, like just like a neutral hit from full maybe that you probably couldn't do after like taking, let's say like a rock slide or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's gonna be easier to bring in Valiant than most people think it is. It's like it acts very similar to a Mega Gallade, rather not the regular Gallade. Fuck that mod.
And then so the other thing is like I mean Iron Valiant is like the second it goes from Electrode to Valiant, which is kind of fine, but like there are also like a lot of mons that are like faster than Valiant that are really good in this meta, which
yeah, but like
on top of like
the thing with like Valiant's at a fast enough speed that like trying to get something faster than it, there's like not a lot of options.
Yeah.
So like in terms of that speed gap, you can't be picky. You just
yeah,
can't.
but like I was going to say like on top of that with like the Scarfers being essentially just like Gengar Salamence, which are fine Scarfers, but they just don't want to do it often. Like it could be annoying to like try and check those faster guys. Was all.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's see. Oh, sorry. This. The other thing is like this is like a team where like the steals are like Sliggoo and King Gambit. So like I think Psychics and Flyings with like the coverage do really well versus this team.
Yeah. Like, neither of these steals are like really what you want your steal to be doing.
Yeah, especially since like King Gambit isn't Terra'd. Like Salamence, Gengar, Terras are fine, but like King Gambit not having the Terras kind of a letdown for it because it would like to get rid of its ×4 fighting weakness.
Hang on, let me check something first. Maybe I'm overestimating or underestimating King Gambit's bulk.
Got pretty good bulk. I think it's like 100.
Okay, that's good enough bulk. It's 100, 120, 85. Okay, I accept your premise. I thought it was a lot more frail than that, so I was like, I really don't think it cares about its 4 times weakness.
Yeah, like stray brick breaks are gonna hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah. What I will say, I think like the Valiant plus the 2 Terramons just like absolutely make up for like everything else that might like this is just more a me thing, but I think those 3 picks are just absolutely crazy to deal with. Like Gengar, people didn't really like Gengar last gen for some reason, and I think it was still crazy. Obviously Iron Valiant is crazy. Salamence is back with a vengeance, baby. Like it took a break in Gen 8 after losing Z moves and like only gaining back heavy duty boots, but now that it gets boots and Terra, it's back. It's back in the paint. Screamtail, I think, providing opportunity for any of those mons to potentially set up or an opportunity to win is very unique. Especially when, again, sorry to kind of steal your lines, but like in the pre-recording session, you pointed out how Aloe was kind of one of the big pivots, which is true. But like if you try to baton pass and they set up in front of you, you just get to go into Screamtail to like encore them to disrupt them. The one thing that I don't really understand is why there is a Hisuian Lilligant when you already have a Toadscruel that spins. Like, I assume you want it for another remover, but like, why specifically the Lilligant when you already had the Grass and Toadscruel and the Fighting and Valiant? I guess it's for the speed tier. I guess. But like that one feels a little weird. I originally was gonna question the Aloe pick, but then you kind of talked me into liking the Aloe, just in terms of like the bulk that Cheese has access to. In terms of hazards, it's only okay. It's like Cleavor and Screamtail and Toadscruel. I don't know how often you're bringing Toadscruel. Screamtail and Cleavor you can probably bring with like relative frequency. And they're both probably gonna be fine, or at least you'll bring one of them. But basically, I think there's like a slight chance that like my eyes were just like way too big towards the Valiant, Salamence, Gengar, which my eyes are still big too. But like I can definitely see why you ranked it a little bit lower. But I just personally think the combination of those three is just gonna fucking tear through teams, and I can't wait to see specifically Valiant and Salamence. I already know how good Gengar is. But Valiant and Salamence are going to be fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think Screamtail's a really good enabler, and I don't think Salamence is like a round 2 mon, but still really good. And
you're doubting. You heathen.
And then yeah, I do agree that the Lilligant could have been something else, like maybe another fast guy, or maybe like I said I wanted it to be either like another like kind of fastish mon, or I wanted it to like be a pivot or a momentum mon. Just something to get Iron Valiant in a bit easier.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. All right, let us. Unless you have anything else to say about this team, but
I can check. I guess the last thing is that like ghosts are also really good versus this. Because there's no normal.
With the dark type only being King Gambit.
Yeah, and King Gambit is pretty susceptible to fighting coverage shenanigans, like Terra fighting moves.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. All right, let us move on to our number 7 coach, Tezzy, coach of the Wellington Porygon, our resident amino god. Tezzy has drafted Chi-Yu, Sneasler, Scizor, Sylveon, Hisuian Zoroark, Quagsire, Decidueye, Azelf, Haxorus, Avalugg, and Rotom Fan, with Chi-Yu and Scizor being the Terra captains. Is allowing Terra Chi-Yu a mistake?
This Chi-Yu guy is kind of good.
More than likely.
You know how I said Kieran Black and Oko? Ting Lu?
Yeah, can Terra Chi-Yu
This Chi-Yu guy can also do that, yeah. I don't even remember if it needs Terra or not, which is like the terrifying
dude, it has
part.
to. Dude, Ting Lu is so fucking fat. And
it probably does, but
Ting Lu also has it lowers Chi-Yu's special attack, so like it's gotta.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Terra Chi-Yu, that was more of a byproduct of, we didn't have a ton of time to prep just based on when the game's released and the turnaround for when we started. Not prep, but like tier properly, or like have balanced discussion of absolutely everything we would have wanted to. The main discussions, of course, were like the main OU threats at the time, which were Iron Bundle, Palafin, Fluttermane, like stuff like that. So Chi-Yu kind of flew under the radar because, I think people weren't playing it because it looked weird and it wasn't a Xianpao. But anyways, yeah, Terra Chi-Yu is by far the best breaker in this game. I don't think it's very close. Sneasler complementing that is obviously very good. Like Sneasler is one of the few Pokemon that I think we can like probably make an objective assumption on, because like Fighting Poison was always a good typing. It was just on shit Mons, and now that it's on,
It was on
like,
Toxicroak and just Toxicroak.
and now that it's on, you know, an actual real Mon, like basically another Weavile, it's gonna be fucking crazy. And then when you take those two destroying steals for your Scizor and Sylveon, like you have a very potent core of 4 Pokemon that are probably going to come to near every game, and then you have a ton of utility to fill out the rest of your team every week. The one thing I will say is I think Hisuian Zoroark's just gonna probably act as regular Zoroark, in a very similar way, in that you just disguise it as the fighting types, and then when they bring in the psychics, thinking that they're in front of the fightings, you just kill them with ghost moves instead of dark moves. The rest of the team very much like can fill with whatever you need it to. Like, you know, Quag gets Stealth Rocket Spikes now. It's great. Decidueye, Azelf, Haxorus, Haxorus more just sets up, but Azelf and Decidueye can also set up, but also have other utility. Avalug's a really good spinner if you need it. Rotom Fan is like the one weak point. Just like, you know, all the Rotoms got worse this gen. I think if you were like just looking for an electric type, you probably could have gotten something better, but maybe there's like something very specific that I'm missing that Rotom Fan covers. I don't know.
It's his flyer. It's his ground immunity.
I mean, it had Levitate for that anyway. I mean, okay, I guess if that's the reason, then sure.
It's a bit more sturdy than Azelf, so like
I guess
there's that. Sneasler is like kind of disgusting with Poison Touch U-turn, because like what checks it are like physically bulky grounds. So like if you just start U-turning on them and like you eventually get the poison, you're going to be able to beat them over time. Which I don't think this team has like huge issues with like physically bulky grounds, but like I think Sneasler on teams where like physically bulky grounds are a bit more of a problem. Like even though it is a problem for Sneasler, he can work to like over time wear down its own checks and like then work through the rest of the team because of its good speed tier. My main issue with the team was that like the fast guys, like in Sneasler, Azelf, like Zoroark, Chiyu, are a bit frail. So like they can only really come in on resisted hits. I just think that means that there's. I mean, I know like fast mons in general tend to be frail.
A few times in this video.
Yeah, I mean I know fast mons tend to be frail, but like I think it just allows for like less margin of error. Like you kind of have to like get more offensive. You're more pressured to get offensive plays right.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think if like. Though the momentum's like really good on this team, so I don't like foresee that being a huge issue.
Yeah, I'm genuinely excited to see how this team plays out, because this looks like very similar to a team that I would draft. It has a lot of Pokemon that are near and dear to my heart, and just like the way the games play out seem like very familiar with how I would play. I guess the one thing would I guess just be the hazard setting game might not be the best for
it's Quagsire and Azelf.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Quag gets spikes now, so like at least that's something. The removal is actually pretty good. Like you have Scizor, Decidueye, and Avalugg. But like the one thing that I think this team could have benefited from was like another good rocker, or like just any kind any kind of hazards.
Especially if like this team's like playing faster game, you want like another rocker that isn't like a momentum drain like Quag is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The only problem is I'm not entirely sure what you cut to make that happen. Like I guess like there's like an argument for like maybe Haxorus is a little redundant, but like if you want dragons, like we already discussed about how Chiyu plus Sneasler breaks every steal in the game essentially. So like having another threat like Haxorus might be able to supplement that, but then there's also the counterpoint of it being redundant on a team where like Scizor and Sylveon can already take advantage of weakened steals. So like maybe that's the thing you replace to get another rocker. I don't know.
I don't know. Dragons are really good in this meta. Also like Haxorus for like where he picked it. I think it was like
that's definitely good.
Round
value.
9. It's extreme Haxorus value at that point.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's more like, I guess, I don't know, saying you need another good rocker probably isn't that nitpicky. It's probably a valid criticism, but there's not a lot of bad things I have to say about this draft, is more so where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Like, its strengths are good, like, for sure, but it's, like, not as strong as some of the other drafts ahead of it.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Speaking of, unless you have any other things to say, shall we move on to number 6?
Yes, we can move on.
All right.
At number 6, we have ASDF, coach of the Sydney Thunderous, with Goldango, Great Tusk, Glamora, Thunderous Therian, Dugtrio, Volcanion, Lokix, Cresselia, Dunsparce, Staraptor, and Live Wo-Chien Reactions.
Live Wo-Chien Reaction. You gotta love it. This is the new HB
Oh, yeah.
on, by the way. This is
Yeah.
Agronauts' favorite.
Great Tusk and Thunderous Therian are the Terra Captains, by the way. I don't think there's a complex on this team.
No, there is not.
Okay. So, like, he kind of drafted Goldango and then proceeded to draft 2 of the best removers and setters, rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah,
So-
his ASDF is going to win the Hazard War every single game. Every single
Yeah, the Hazard War has already been won, just pre-draft, in the draft. The only thing is that, like, those 3 mons do share, like, pretty similar speed tiers, which is a bit annoying, but, like, they're also, like, pretty solid speed tiers to, like, Scarf, if you need one of them to be faster, so I don't think it's that bad. Let's see. Low Kicks has, like, pretty conditional priority in First Impression Sucker Punch. Like, First Impression has to be the first turn that's in Sucker, you have to attack the Low Kicks.
Right.
But, like, that with, like, Tinted Lens and, like, stuff like U-turn, stuff like that is going to be really annoying for teams. I think Low Kicks is a pretty cool pick. It could have been something different on this team, granted. Like, the speed on this team goes from, like, Dugtrio to Thundy, Staraptor, so, like, maybe one more, like, faster mon over Low Kicks could have been good, but, like, at this point in the draft, like, a lot of the faster threats weren't as strong.
Yeah, they were probably on the weaker side, if I had to guess.
Yeah. And then another thing was, like, this team can, like, play on, like, all sides. Like, you can prep and play faster games, like, offense, with just your offense, like, Dugtrio, Thundy, Volcanion, Goldango, Great Tusk, etc. But you can also play, like, longer games with the Cress, Wo-Chien, Dunsparce.
Yeah.
Even, like, Great Tusk, Goldango.
Yeah, this is a very classic mid-range team where, like, your role in the match changes depending on the matchup, and I think those are, like, the most fun teams to play in draft. It's, like, kind of the whole point of draft.
Yeah. Like,
my main criticism, there's, like, kind of 2. While obviously the 2 + 2 = 4 solution of, like, you know, Goldango plus Glamora is very good. Like, the one problem with that combination is that, like, their stat distribution is very similar, which means that, like, on the surface level they do a lot of very similar things. The other thing is that, like, I kind of think the Great Tusk you should have taken the Terra away from Great Tusk and probably put it on Goldango. I think that's just, like, one of the better Terramons in this gen, just, like, both being able to be offensive and defensive, and then as well having recovery with said chosen Terra typing change. And then also on top of the fact that, like, remember how we talked about earlier that, like, every fighting type just gets to Terra into Ghost and have broken coverage? Goldango just gets to do the same thing. It just gets to Terra into fighting and just have a broken coverage.
yeah. Let's see. I think, like, this might sound odd, but I think, like, certain bug types do well versus this team. Although I guess you could argue that's hard.
That's very difficult to say when there's a Goldango literally.
There is Goldango, Volcanion, but, like, if I guess you just play a more offensive game versus the bugs. But I was just mainly looking at, like, Cress,
Wait,
Wo-Chien.
you have a Great Tusk too. Bugs are fine.
Yeah, but no, I was, like, saying, like, I was thinking more so something like Volcanion, or not Volcarona, not Volcanion.
Oh, sure.
Volcarona could
attempt
to wear Volcanion down over
cherry
time.
picking, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, regardless of how good you draft, like, there's always going to be one Pokemon that can rip apart every draft. That's just, like, that's the nature of it.
Yeah, I do think the team is a bit slow, but I think it's fine. And I also think Crest is a bit passive, but it still
Okay,
works
so
well in the team.
I will say, if you were gonna pick the Cresselia, you should have Terra'd it. Because I'm currently prepping for Terra Cresselia, and I'm fucking terrified of Terra Electric. Because then it just has no fucking weakness with, like, no Pokemon learning Toxic.
Oh no. You know, that sounds deep. Hold up.
I'm fucking terrified of that shit.
Oh my god, I can see why Jimmy G teared it now.
Did you not figure that out? I literally saw...
No, I was just like, I think Crest could like cheese stuff with like Terra Calm Mind.
Yeah,
like, that's probably why.
No, that would be it.
Yeah.
You Terra Electric, so that way it's not weak to anything and nothing is toxic.
I mean, what's it? You could like also Terra Poison and just like not get toxic.
I mean that too, but then like you're still weak to Psychic is the thing.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
with Electric,
oh yeah, Psyshock.
you have actually no weakness with Electric. I get like this still loses. It still like quote unquote loses to Taunt. So like it's probably like fine on power level, but still it's scaring the shit out of me. Anyways,
so the last real note I have is he kind of just like monopolized all the special breakers.
Yeah, he
has
did.
Goldango, Thundy, Volcanion. You could argue Glamora is a really good special attacker. Like in a pretty physical meta where like I think like Will-O-Wisp isn't as good into this team because like he just has a bunch of special breakers and like a lot of the walls should be like physically oriented because like most of the good mons are pretty physical, but like if you're drafting like that, then you're going to lose to like something like this where like there's a Thundy T and Volcanion breathing down your neck. Goldango is still pretty good. Glamora is still good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I will say, I was like a little skeptical about like Goldango going in round ones, but I think like seeing like with a little more experience even on the ladder or even in VGC, apparently it's making waves in VGC now. I think like I'm excited to see just like I think it's gonna be, what's the best way to put it, in Gen 7 back when Torn was still 16 points. I think it's gonna be a fine, like it's comparable to that, like where people still round 1'd it, but like it was just like not that expensive of a round 1, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because like last gen there were like a lot of expensive round 1s. Like you had to like late round 1, it was like basically 17 pointers. There was basically no 16 pointers in round 1 was the point I'm trying to make. But like I think Goldango has like a real chance of like kind of fitting in that role, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't really have many more notes, I think. Oh, other than the Dunsparce. The Dunsparce is a stupid ass name, and it looks way too similar to Dunsparce, and I thought for the longest time that was actually a Dunsparce on the team. That's the only other thing I have to say. I think it's a funny team. It does look like a mess, which is why I kind of rated it a little bit lower. But I think the top part of it is probably good enough to where ASDF can win some games.
Yeah, for sure. That's I don't have much else to say about it either.
All right. So now we'll move on to number 5, and I think at this point was when like it's more consensus about like where the top mons are. Like from like 11 to now, like a lot of stuff could have been shuffled around. It basically came down to personal preference, but I think now we're at the point where like it's pretty objective that like the top teams are at the top. So we'll get to number 5, which is Inversify, coach of the Air Force Corviknights. And Inverse's team consists of Regieleki, Corviknight, Slowking, Zarude, Galar Zapdos, Satitan, Gardevoir, Salazzle, Tyranitar, Hippowdon, and Gyarados, with Regieleki and Gyarados being the Terra captains. So obviously, elephant in the room, Terra Regieleki is probably going to be very, very good. That was definitely one of the topics that came up in tiering. And obviously, the big thing of it last gen was that like it just had no fucking way of touching ground types, and now it has a very clear way of doing that, which I think is like essentially the only reason it's being allowed, is because like it's so like Terra either ice or grass is so telegraphed that like it's almost predictable. But like at least it's like something to like actually give it a way to hit grounds. The rest of the team is just like kind of quality mons, right? Like it's Corviknight like as the best remover and like probably the best pivot in the game. Zarude and Zapdos also very good pivots. Slowking, still not convinced about this gen, but I think that's another thing where we'll have to see how it plays out. Gardevoir is going to be... I think Gardevoir is crazy offensively this gen because, or at least in this format, with Steels being as not good as they are, that offensive typing is going to be very good, along with Salazzle and Galar Zapdos to pressure them. I think, like, on the surface, Tyranitar plus Hippowdon looks weird, but then you just remember that you can be Sand Force Hippo, so it doesn't look as awkward. And having those two being your rockers is probably fine. You can definitely bring one of them each week. The Gyarados, probably also fine. Just more of kind of like, I need a good second Terramon, and I want something to try that's funny. The round 6 to Titan looks very weird. Excuse me. I think Titan in general might be a little overhyped, but definitely at round 6 it looks very, very, very out of place. But other than that, I just like the overall quality of all the mons a lot more than I have, like, say, Gelbel's team. Like, where I liked the mons, but I could acknowledge that the quality of them was not very good. The quality of all these teams, or the quality of all the mons in this team is much higher, like Barca Titan, basically.
Yeah. Like, you look at this team, and then you look at, like, Ultra Player's team, no offense, but, like, obviously, like, let's see, like, Galar Zapdos went the same round as Mousehold. Like,
You know what? We were bashing Ultra Players round 6 Gallade. There's a round 6 to Titan,
Yeah. What's it? My main thing is, like, I think Regieleki might be a bit overrated. I still think it's, like, a good round 1 pick, but, like, its attacks are ultimately coming off of a base 100 special attack. So, like, I don't know how... Like, it's still really good. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's not as crazy as some people might think. It still gets, like, free volts.
I think something that people are overlooking at the moment, and maybe I could be wrong, this is just kind of speculation, but, like, there's, like, a real chance that, like, one of the better things to do with Aleki is actually just Terra Electric. Like, you have a Zarude to kill grounds already, and once the ground is, like, gone, Terra Electric can probably just fucking destroy things.
Wait, what team didn't... Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
yeah. We can get there when we get there. But yeah, I do think Terra Electric is probably really good on Aleki, like, if you can pressure the grounds hard enough, because, like, imagine switching in.
Yeah,
I don't want to, especially, like, 200 base speed.
Yeah.
I did rank this pretty high. It might be because I just think it looks like a normal, like, Galar Dex team, but, like, in Gen 9, when, like, some other teams look a bit jank.
Yes, a lot of teams.
But I still think, yeah. I don't know, I still like the pieces, like, Zarude and Zapdos can have momentum. Zapdos is a pretty good breaker, in my opinion. Especially in this format. Especially with, like, limited fairies. Like, the fighting stab goes crazy. Corviknight and Slowking, you can, like, pivot into resisted hits and then, like, U-turn out into your threats like Galar Zapdos, Zarude, Aleki. Let's see. I do think that, like, electrics could be an issue. Like, electrics with a way around Hippo, like, they could. But, like, most of the electrics aren't, like, super amazing this gen, so it's mainly just, like, the Thundies that could be an issue, so...
That's probably fine. Again, like, punting one specific Pokemon, or I guess in this case two, is, like, fine for literally any draft. Yeah, like, I guess the only thing is, like, maybe another rocker would have been nice.
Yeah.
I think another hazard setter would have been nice.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess only having Corviknight, maybe you still want, like, just rocks. Maybe you don't want spikes to constantly defog them away. I guess you have Spin Aleki, if that counts.
You do. Like, it is an option.
Like, I don't know. I feel like
Um,
this a Titan could have been like something else that sets rocks or spikes or
yeah.
something.
Something I did like about this team is we mentioned about ASDF before is that it can play like faster paced, more offensive games as well as like some slower games with its core.
Yeah,
With its
Corviknight
cores.
Slowking Hippo is like a pretty classic
Yeah.
balance core. It's like I can definitely see that. There is a question whether that's still viable with those three, or at least Slowking Hippo now
Yeah.
that they've lost Toxic, but like it is there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. There's just like a bunch of quality mons that kind of mesh well together.
Yeah.
All right, then how about you introduce us to, I believe, the team we were alluding to, if I remember.
Right.
correctly.
Okay. So up next we have Slick, coach of the Gotham City Graphite Eyes, with a roster of Iron Bundle, Cinderace, Thundurus Incarnate, Slitherwing, Garganacl, Mesprit, Fortress, Dragalge, Basculegion, Zoroark, and Daxbun. And the first thing one might notice is that there is no ground type.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I completely overlooked that fact when I tiered this team.
I still thought it was solid, but like, my god, Terra Electric Regieleki
Against this
has
team.
so much
It's
fun.
fucking funny.
Yeah,
It's certainly funny. Again, it might just be a thing of like, you know, Slick's just gonna use Terra as like another tool to kind of fix that. Like, you can make that. Thunderous Incarnate and Basculegion are the Terra.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemons.
and then Iron Bundle, no Terra.
Yeah, but it's
the-
still allowed booster energy though.
Yeah,
Still not sure if that's also correct. The one thing I'll say, I know Fortress usually gets a lot of hate, but it acts similar to Klefki. It's a good steal for offense teams. Just because like you can set hazards and spin while also not being completely like
Volt.
dead weight, like you just volt switch out.
Or you could explode.
I mean, that is in fact an option. I agree with what you said before, where like I'm not really sure why the Basculegion is Terra. Like I'm if I'm being honest, I'm not sure why the Basculegion is.
I mean, I can see it in the sense that like Basculegion hit hard.
I mean,
He
yeah.
hit mighty
But like,
hard.
dude, if you want a Terra to hit hard, you have a Dragalge right there. You have the round 1 J-Caps mon, or at least the mon that he claimed to take round 1 and then didn't.
I do think Garganacl.
Oh wait, Basculegion gets adaptability.
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
So dumb.
It does.
I am so dumb. Ignore me.
Yeah. Okay, so I do think that like Terra gives it like a good physical ghost stab, or well, a better ghost stab than like I think it has. Does it have Shadow Claw? I don't even think it gets that.
I just know we banned Last Respects, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. That's all I know.
Let me look this up real quick. Oh, it's physical ghost stab is Phantom Force. You can run physical on this thing with with Terra. I do think that you could have maybe Terra'd Garganacl to like check things,
Yeah.
to check some things as well as like
If
you Terra into good type and then it curses.
If you wanted a better blanket check than Mesprit, I think Terraing the Garganacl would have been better.
Yeah, but like Basculegion, I don't think it's like a bad Terra. I just think like he could have Terra the Garganacl, but like obviously this thing is going to hit hard with Terra adaptability.
Yeah, I can see that. Iron Bundle, I'm still convinced that we should have banned Booster Energy on this as well. The rest of the council clearly didn't agree.
I think in hindsight, I agree. This one's
I am
really
excited
dumb.
for Iron Bundle to be a kill leader, is all I'll say.
Yeah.
Cinder. Oh, right. That's the other thing we didn't bring up. Protean and Libero.
Protean nerf.
So,
Yeah.
So they only trigger once every time you come out. So Greninja, Meowscarada, and the Cinderace are allowed to have those abilities.
Yeah.
So like Cinderace is probably fine. There are some sets that still look a little more sketchy now with this change.
Like bulk up.
Sub bulk up sets look a little sketchy. But like I think this is probably just an overall good change. I think it makes us not having to complex things, which is always, I mean, most people would say it's always a good thing. I kind of disagree. Mesprit is a Mesprit, I mean, it's just a budget Mew, which is always going to be good. The only other thing I really have to say about this team, I'm excited to see how Slitherwing works. I think it's like one of my favorite designs on a new Pokemon.
I think he could be good.
"Quote unquote" regional variant.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see it actually played out in games. It's like essentially another Buzzwole. The only other thing I'll say is even though I know I've released a schedule, I don't remember. But Slick, I hope you play a Chi-Yu, because otherwise that Dash Bun is never coming.
So that is true. What's it? Slick has like good speed tiers. Like his speed's pretty good. Like Iron Bundle, Cinderace, Thundy as your top 3 fastest, and then like Zoroark is still above base 100 is really good. And then after that, I think it goes to Daxbun, which isn't really a Pokemon, so it goes from like Zoroark to Slitherwing instead, which is a bit sketch. But I think it's fine on this team.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Like even the removal is good, right? Like you have Fortress the Spin, and then Cinderace also court changes.
Yeah.
And like your hazards, are fine. Like you have Garganacl, Mesprit, Dragalge.
Fori.
Fortress gets your hazards are fine.
What's it? There's like no bulky water. I mean, the main wall is Garganacl, which I guess it would appreciate Terra if it is the main wall, but like this team can definitely just play faster, more offensive games anyway, which is probably what Slick is aiming for. So
yeah, I think so too.
I don't think it'll be a huge issue.
Yeah. All right, I don't really have much else to say. Like it's just this is just kind of, other than the fact that there's no ground type, which clearly we missed for some reason. Like it's just got some good quality mons. Other than the Dash Bun, again, that's not coming unless they have a Chi-Yu. Anyways, let's move on to number 3, which is Abriel, coach of the Nashville Noivern. And Abriel has drafted Palafin, Landorus Therian, Hydreigon, however people want to pronounce it, Talonflame, Breloom, Espathra, Diancie, Bronzong, Frostlass, Magnezone, and Meloetta, with Terra captains being Landoti and Espathra. Palafin had the complex that is not allowed to Terra. So, first off, I am really happy that we're going to get to see Palafin perform on not a ladder setting. I think it's going to be a lot more fair. I think it's going to have the Zygarde effect. Like, Zygarde just keeps getting banned on the ladder, and, like, it's, like, very much allowable. Some people would argue bad in draft. I think those people are wrong for what it's worth, but there are people with that opinion. And I think Palafin's going to function similarly, where, like, at least for now, with a limited dex, Palafin's probably too strong for ladder. But I think it's going to be a lot more balanced in draft, so I can't wait to see that thing, like, actually perform. Terra Lando is going to go crazy. Like, now that it's, like, lost a lot of its roll compression, I think people are going to... I mean, I guess it can still be defensive Terra, because, like, Lando's stats with Intimidate are crazy. Right, Hydra's roll got changed a little bit. It lost Roost, so, like, all of its fat sets are gone, but, like, it also got Rocks, so its utility it basically got side graded. I think in this format, Talonflame, with just constant priority, with the Gale Wings, with a lot of offensive teams, is going to be a very good tool to have. I'm glad to see Breloom getting love with loaded dice being a thing. I am not at all convinced that Espathra is going to be good long term. I think it's just a byproduct of people figuring out that cheese strategies can work, and I think it's gonna be like, I think it's gonna be one of those things that, like, takes time. People are gonna figure out how to play around it, and then it's gonna do actual nothing. So I personally can't wait for that Pokemon to age like absolute dog water. And then the rest of the team is just, like, good Glumons. Like, you already have 2 very good rockers with Lando and Hydra, and then adding 2 more with Diancie and Bronzong alleviates a lot of pressure on either of those Pokemon, which is always good. Frostlass, just good speed tier with spikes. Magnezone looks fine, I guess. It's just, I guess, another thing to pressure waters, I believe, is the reason, since you already have a Steel, and, like, I'm not really sure how much you need to trap the Steels when you have a Lando and Talonflame Breloom. And I'm glad to also see Meloetta getting some love. I think that mon's very cool. So I just like to see Pokemon that I think are powerful that don't see a lot of play actually get to see some usage. So I'm happy to see Meloetta getting some.
Yeah. I'm a huge Meloetta fan, and like a note on his Spathra real quick. I think like over the generation, it could like side grade itself to running its like really stupid signature move, whatever it's called, that like lowers special attack by 2, which like forces in Telegraph Dark types, which then you could like take advantage of on your teams
Sure.
or in play.
I could see that. I don't think this like sub protect calm mind bullshit is gonna last forever. I think people are gonna realize how to beat it, or like figure out a way to beat it, I guess is the better way to say it. And I think it's just gonna be like absolutely bad. Like I think the cheese set is just gonna be that. It's just gonna be a meme.
Yeah. What's it? The speed on this team is like Talonflame into a Spathra, or no, into Frostlass into a Spathra. Like I don't think it's as big of an issue on this team as it is on most, because Palafin plus Breloom priority is really good. And like Lando T and Hydreigon scarfing is also really good. Like you could even scarf like Meloetta or something, I guess, if you want.
Right.
So like I think this team definitely has like good ways to deal with faster threats. Let's see. The one thing is that like this team doesn't have a grounded poison, which I think like it's fine. It'd be fine, I guess, because like he has a lot of mons that aren't affected by it. But I also think that like being able to like poison Palafin and Espathra are pretty detrimental to like how they want to play. Could be an issue in some matchups, and like I mean Talonflame's a good remover, but like I don't know, there might be like a matchup or two where like T-Spikes come and like you can't bring Talonflame or something for whatever reason, which might be annoying, but it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the removal the removal in this format obviously is pretty limited. I think it was probably one of those things where like, you know, Abriel got a decent removal like early, so I'm sure he probably just like kind of put the other removal on the side burner, thinking like I need to fill other roles more like immediately, and then just kind of got left with only the Talonflame.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess at what happened.
Yeah, another thing is that I feel like this team's like natural bulk can let it survive long enough for like the offense to win out in the end, and like to like ultimately like trade down to favorable positions for like Palafin or like Scarf Lando on like a game to game basis.
Right, I can see that.
See, the momentum's also pretty strong on it with like Palafin, Talonflame, Lando, Hydreigon, Magnezone, Meloetta. Espathra gets U-turn too. Almost forgot about that.
I'm
like,
not convinced it's running U-turn this season, but we'll see.
It won't, but like it's an option.
Right.
Let's see. This moment. I mean, I guess. Let's see. The good rockers, Terracaps. Were the objectively right choices.
I don't know. I feel like there's some merit to Terra Hydra.
I feel like, I mean, there is, but if you take a Spathra,
obviously Terra Lando was correct.
Yeah, like if you take a Spathra and you don't like Terra it though, I think a Spathra becomes a lot worse. Like I can see why.
I guess I can agree with that.
The one thing is like a good offensive fighting could be like really annoying for this team to handle. Like something like like Urshifu Rapid maybe.
I could see that.
Or like, again, like Sneasler once it's able to wear down Lando, which I guess to be fair, it's a Lando. It'll be pretty hard to wear down the Lando.
I mean, we say that, but I feel like Lando gets worn down a lot, like basically every game, because you always acted as like a bulky pivot. And like with a fairy that doesn't resist fighting, I could definitely see. And like you have 3 psychics and 2 of them are neutral to fighting, so like I can definitely see that. I mean, that's either something you have to play around or just fix in transactions. But
it is something that I think you can like play around very much. Like just looking at the team, still a really good team.
Yeah, I agree. I believe we've gushed over Abriel's team enough. How about we move on to number 2?
All right, so number 2 we have Hacker, coach of the St. Louis Chattots, with a roster of Dragonite, Iron Mott, Greninja, Lycanroc, Dusk, Sandy Shocks, Hatterene, Copperajah, Rillaboom, Umbreon, Cloyster, and Colossal, with the Terracaps being Dragonite, Iron Moth.
My God,
This team is
Dragonite plus Iron Moth Terra is just absolutely fucking crazy.
yeah, this team is one of the better Terra combos, especially since I think Dragonite's an insane Terramon. Like,
Yeah,
you just pick a matchup and it can win it for you.
Yeah,
with the right Terra.
Dragonite is definitely a winner of this gen. Like in terms of like the transition from Gen 8 to 9, 100%. As long as Terra's allowed, anyways.
Yeah.
Again, this is Protean Greninja because of the Protean change / nerf. I think, unironically, my only like bad point to this team is like just like the removal being not like only okay.
It's Colossal
It's
plus like
it's
aggressively
Colossal,
switching hat.
It's Colossal plus Hatterene, which isn't that great. Unless Hacker's going to be comfortable like playing aggressively with Hatterene every game.
I mean, like, looking at the team, I think he will be.
But yeah, I think I agree with that. But like everything else on the team, I absolutely love. Like
yeah,
like obviously, like we said before, the 2 Terra Captains are just absolute menaces. The hazard game is great. Like you have Lycanroc, Copperajah, Cole, and Sandy Shocks all for rocks. Greninja,
Cloyster,
Sandy Shocks,
Spikes,
and Cloyster, and Colossal again for spikes. Like another Pokemon or another team that's gonna get up just like all the hazards. I guess. Oh, Iron Moth gets Toxic Spikes too.
Yeah, it does.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Umbreon wishing for Hatterene is going to be a net positive for sure, especially with how aggressive you plan to play the Hatterene. The one thing with Umbreon is that like Hatterene is like basically its only good wish target. I guess maybe Sandy Shocks too, but like there's three other Pokemon that kind of want the wish support in Copperajah, Cloyster, and Colossal, and they're all weak to fighting.
Yeah.
So not great on that part.
You could like wish to D-Knight to like keep your multi-scale.
Your multi-scale, I guess. Normally when I see wish passers and targets, I kind of look at common weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because like yeah, I guess the other thing is that like Umbreon can pass into Copperajah and Colossal when there's a fairy in front of it. So I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, that is.
Yes. Unlike unlike Phil, Hacker has a good Grassy Core combo because Sandy Shocks doesn't use Earthquake, uses Earth Power.
Yeah.
And even Lycanroc Dusk doesn't use Earthquake, uses Drill Run. So,
yeah, for sure.
Like, real good grassy terrain synergies.
See, this team's like good momentum, like good synergy offensively.
Yes, it is. It's just like another utility heavy offense, which is like very much my playstyle and probably why I ranked Hacker number 1.
Yeah, Hacker seems pretty strong. Like the momentum's good. I think it's like later round picks can pivot into solid neutral or resisted hits, so that like because like unlike Tezzy's team, I feel like the or similar issue where like the faster guys, like obviously they're going to be frail, but like still like the faster guys aren't going to take hits as well, so like there's like smaller margin of error for you like when you're playing with those kind of frail mons. Like his backbone can like come in on resisted hits pretty well. Like you want to click Earthquake, you can go into Rillaboom. Want to click like I guess Fighting Move is a bit harder, but like
you have a Dragonite.
For like yeah, you have Dragonite, you have Hatterene. But yeah, like you can pivot into
right, but you also like they can't just scarf the fighting type, right? You have like 3 very good priority options.
Yeah. Oh wait, 3? I only see 2. Oh yeah, wait, no, I'm stupid.
There's a Greninja, Dragonite,
Dragonite, and Lycan Dusk, yeah.
Granted, Lycanroc Dust not the greatest against the fightings, but like in general, it's fine.
Also, I think Accelerock is like a really good priority this gen. It's like a lot of the speed is like flying types.
I mean, It was always good priority. It was
I
just
know,
like
it's
Lycanroc.
just like
Lycanroc's kind of like it was always.
it's
Like,
just the priority has become like more anti-meta than it
yeah,
already was.
I can see that.
It also, for those you don't know, it also gets Sucker Punch, so
Oh,
you can
true.
surprise people if they don't know that.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this because like normally in power ranking videos when we have a lot to say about a team, it's about how we dislike a team. But like,
Yeah,
I really like Hacker's team, so like I just don't
yeah,
have a lot
and
to
I
say.
know. I think his team's pretty solid. I think in like hindsight, I could have ranked it a bit higher too.
I mean, 5 is still pretty high, all things considered.
Yeah, it's still pretty high.
All right, so let us move on to the number one coach. Very clearly the number one roster. If you've been paying attention, you already know who it is. But for those of you who haven't, number one is Big Slap, coach of the Ottawa Senators. And Slap's team consists of Roaring Moon, Zamazenta Crowned, Enamorous Therian, Toxapex, Volcarona, Yuxi, Iron Jugulus, Inteleon, Mudsdale, Lurantis, and Komala. Volcarona and Iron Jugulus are the Terra captains. And there's 2 complexes on this team. Roaring Moon was not allowed to Terra and not allowed to hold booster energy. Zamazenta Crowned was not allowed to Terra, and Iron Defense is banned. That does mean, however, Zamazenta is allowed to run Body Press because I got that this gen. So first thing, there is like a small chance that like my eyes just got really, really big towards similar to how I talked about with Cheez-Its team. There's a chance my eyes got really, really big with Roaring Moon plus Zamazenta Crown plus Terra Volcarona. Like the rest of the team, the rest of the team is pretty good. Like there's like only a few weird spots, like for example, like the like Defog Lurantis and Spin Komala are the only removal. And like Yuxi and Mudsdale are the only rockers, but like at least you can bring one of those every week, like pretty easily.
Yeah.
But like I think Roaring Moon plus Zama plus Terra Volcarona is just actually going to destroy people. Now, granted, I think Zama is a Pokemon that you need to put a lot of time and effort into building the proper team for it and like using it properly. It's definitely not a brain dead Pokemon, but I think its ceiling is by far higher than like basically any Pokemon on this draft board. Enamorous, yeah. I think it's like just a Pokemon that I need to see games played with it before I can make real judgments on it, especially this Therian form. Like I think out of all the Incarnate versus Therian forms, I think this is like the most drastic difference between the two. So I think we're like those two are gonna be like I need to see how games with them play out before I make a real judgment on. Pex I'm not convinced of, but Jugulus is very strong and Inteleon is a good speed option. Like you already have insane speed options with Roaring Moon plus Zama, and then there's also the Inteleon there and Quiver Dance Volcarona. I think just like the raw quality of Slap's offense kind of very much makes up for what could be considered a middling rest of the team, but I think just the raw power is gonna be enough, I think, to drag Slap into many games.
Yeah, I think like in a generation like this, your like speed options being so much better than like any other team's speed options is going to be like a big boon in almost any matchup. And like Zamazenta especially is extremely hard to revenge because it's bulk even without the ability boost, because like its ability only boosts it the first time it comes out.
Yes.
But like even without that, like its bulk is still really good. Like it's still really hard to kill, and like Enamorous Therian and I think Yuxi might get Healing Wish, so I think he has 2 options. I can check Yuxi real quick if it gets Healing Wish.
It got
no, it does not.
Last gen. So the way
it does not.
The way what was it? Did Azelf get Memento before? I know Mesprit was the only one that got Healing Wish, and Yuxi got Memento for sure. And Azelf got another move similar to it. I think it might have also gotten Memento.
Maybe, but either way, the Enamorous Therian's ability to like Healing Wish up the Zama could be really clutch in some games.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And then like Volcarona with Terra's one of the best win cons in
Yeah,
draft.
definitely.
Like it's like hidden power for it essentially. Like it can beat Heatran
It's
now.
definitely better hidden power.
Yeah, it can beat like the Dragon Flyings that gave its dual stab combo triple now. Like it's really good. I do think Pex kind of isn't as good this gen, but like on this team specifically, I think what you do is you just like run. I mean, well, you probably want to run a bunch of helmet on Pex like anyway, but on this team specifically, I could see you just wanting to run
Oh, I
eject
see what you're
button.
saying.
Yeah, you can run helmet to like wear things down, or you can run eject
Yeah, I can
button
see it
to
like
like turn it into a
essentially.
pivot.
It essentially is gonna act like a Quillfish, I think. Like
Yeah,
like Quillfish, you basically just like send out once to get helmet chip, set up a layer of spikes or toxic spikes, then switch out and then essentially sack it later.
yeah.
So
Except like
I
you
can
don't
see
have to
that.
sack the Pex, you can keep it
Oh,
around
true,
because
because
it's
it has
Pex.
regenerator. Yeah.
So yeah, I do think the momentum options on this team are also really good. When they don't really have to be that good, especially like when kind of easy bringing Zalma, but like it's just a plus.
Right. Right.
Um, let's see. The pivoting's really good. Like Pex, Enamorus, Uxie can all come in. Uxie has U-turn. Pex and Enamorus or whatever, but like I think Enamorus could be good, like on its own without like having to like switch out immediately or like needing a switch move. This team can play shorter games and like mid-length games. I don't know about like longer games, but like this team could probably play like a 40 turn game just fine.
Yeah, I can see that. I also have like similar worries about longer games now that
Yeah.
I guess like Pex with Toxic maybe can do it. But like
Yeah.
other than that, like I guess Volcarona still gets like recovered. Like it still gets Morning Sun,
I
right?
think it's yeah.
Like maybe it can do it like on the back of those two. But I can
Yeah,
definitely
but
see it playing the short and mid games.
yeah. Either way, like just I don't know. I don't have much else to say. Like the speed options are so much better than every other team. Like the only momentum I think is like, or not momentum. The only priority I think is like Aqua Jet on Teleon. But like that's
I don't
fine.
think so.
Yeah, I think it's fine with like Roaring Moon,
Yeah, I think
Zama.
the top two plus Terra Volcarona is just gonna be enough to just
Yeah, and then Terra
just win
Volcarona is
games on
enough to
their
win
own.
games. I think even like Terra Iron Jugulus with like Scarf or something could win a game or something like that.
I'm not convinced on the Jugulus, but I'm definitely open to being proven. I guess. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I literally just talked myself into it. It's literally the same argument about how Galar Moltres was so good last gen, and just like Dark Flying's difficult to switch
Yeah,
into.
it has like it has better coverage than the Moltres, but like no setup.
That's fair. Okay, I have been sold.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say about Slap's team. It's fucking broken. Do you have anything else
Yeah.
to say?
Not really. Not in my notes at
All
least.
right. And with that, that concludes the Poison Point season 11? 11? 11. Yes. Season 11 power rankings. Thank you for watching. And again, if you have any complaints, please DM them to Agronauts number 0093. He is more than happy to take all of your complaints because all of this is his fault, absolutely. Anyways, that's enough from me. Any last words from you, Spies?
All of my thoughts are actually Agronaut's thoughts.
Very true.
Please blame him.
Agronauts is absolutely a dictator in this. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoy this trek into Generation 9. And yeah, we'll see you in the next DGBA upload.